the committee staff, and those from the department are present.
It's good afternoon, Chair, not good morning.
Oh, I've heard you. We are only one. One, two, three with me. Am I correct, Ayanda? And Ari, we may not be making the quorum.
Yes,
correct. There's Mr. Vomarans as
Mr.
well,
Vomarans.
please. So we just need one to continue, Chair.
We need one to continue. I'm in. I can't find your what you call it on my email. That's why I'm using my phone. Can you whilst we are waiting for one? We need one to continue. Aren't we enough to continue one? Two, where is one?
We need two, Chair. One for.
We need two for a quorum. I thought when we are four, we can continue, but if we approve anything, we need to six. Am I wrong?
We
Yes,
need six
Chair.
for a quorum, yes, Chair.
Huh?
We need 6 for a quorum, yes. If decisions are taken, but to proceed with the meeting, we need 5.
Or not 6, not 4.
No, Chair. Is it correct, Ayanda? Yeah,
For a meeting, we can continue with, oh yes, Mr. Pilankulu coming.
Yeah,
so we can continue now, Chair.
Yeah.
We don't need a quorum for this meeting, it's just the discussions.
We will need a quorum when we
adopt.
Or when we approve.
Anything with approval and adoption, Chair, we need a quorum. But for this meeting, we don't need a quorum. We can continue. The members are enough.
Okay. Can someone send me also an email? I can't find this so that I use the...
I've sent it through to you now, Chair. And there's Prof. Msimang is now on and Madokwe, Chair. So we are covered.
I'll wait until that one goes through. Send to my official email. Ne?
I did already. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Like it said, now we can proceed with the meeting. I won't go long. Let me first say, unfortunately, as we start this meeting, we received the sad news that our Deputy Minister, Dr. Ngabane, had lost his father. And I think it would be correct that on behalf of this committee, we extend words of condolences to the Deputy Minister and his family, and also wish that her father will find a rest in peace, but also, as we say, we are with her at this difficult moment. That is one of the most difficult things, to lose a member of the family, be it a parent or a child. Without any further ado, can we get apologies if there are any?
Good afternoon,
Recording in
members
progress.
and our guest. Chair, we received 2 apologies from Mr. Lorima and Mr. Zungula. Thank you.
Okay. Ari, can you flag the agenda? We are dealing with the draft report on the budget vote as number 1. Number 2, we'll be dealing with the draft report or consolidated report, draft consolidated report on the public hearings with regards the gas amendment bill. Nothing else after that. You will understand, honorable members, next week we are dealing with, we are having the budget vote debate or discussion on the 19th. And therefore, by next week, probably Tuesday, we must have adopted our own report. Like we usually agree, we don't debate the, we don't adopt on our first meeting the reports. We must first go through the process of dealing with the contents of the report, and then we have a separate day which must have included the corrections that we find in the reports. So without any further delay, can we get help us flag the report, Ari, and mainly take us through, preferable, I'm sure you all know by now, preferable, it would be, we'll highly appreciate if in the main, not that we will ignore, in the main we look at the observations as well as the recommendations. But let me give it to you, Ari or Ayanda.
Thank you, Chair. So, page 1, the introduction. Page 2 is the committee process, which deals with when the APPs and budget of the department was tabled on the 4th of April and the entities on 14 April. Subsequently, on 3 and 6 May, the committee was briefed by the department and the respective entities on there. It should actually be annual performance plans and budget. Then on page 2, we start with the department. All this information here up until page 18 was obtained from the presentation and from the actual APP of the department chair. Then from page 18, we start with on page 19, with the respective entities, CGS, NNR, Narwadi, Sanedi, Nexa, Mintech, SDT, SADPMR, SEF, NNR, and the Mine Health and Safety Council. That's up until page 40. Then on page, where is it now? Page 41.
Thank you, Minister. Good afternoon, Minister. Colleagues.
Ayanda, can you mute that person there?
Show the highlights in our lecture. The lessons that we've learned.
Ayanda, can you mute that person?
Okay, I'll do that.
And then on page 42, start with the observations. The Portfolio Committee observed the following matters in relation to the performance, plans, and budget of the DMRE and its entities reporting to it. 5.1. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy. The committee acknowledged with concern that time allocated to it to deal with the budget and strategic plans is insufficient. The committee had to deal with the annual performance plans of the department and 11 entities within 2 days. The committee was concerned by the fact that the budget for the administration program had increased instead of decreasing post the merger process of the two departments. The department explained that part of the increase was due to the former Department of Mineral Resources leases that did not go through the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and the cost for private leases are much higher. The committee was concerned about the licensing backlog within the department. The committee observed with concern the fact that South Africa was rated the 10th worst country regarding attractiveness on mining investment. The committee welcomed the confirmation that the exploration strategy had been gazetted for public comment. The committee was concerned that the annual performance plan did not reflect the targets for the RMIPPP and bid window 5. The department had indicated that the only outstanding phase in the process was the signing of the contracts by ESCOM. The committee raised concern that legislatively, the IRP, the Integrated Resource Plan for Electricity, is supposed to be reviewed every 2 years. However, there seem to be no plans from the department to embark on the process. The department cited capacity challenges as the main reason for the delays. The committee was informed that the tender for the new cadastral system was issued and that the process now is with the State Information Technology Agency, SITA. The DMRE is now awaiting confirmation regarding the evaluation of the bids from the SITA. And then finally, the committee noted that the price review is part of the DMRE's plans. Apart from the APP, the DMRE also has an operational plan. The regulatory accounting system as review sits in the operational plan, which is a priority for the DMRE during this financial year. Then we start with the entities, the observations. First, the Mine Health and Safety Council. 1, the committee welcomed the appointment of Mr. David Papita as the Chief Executive Officer of the Council. 2, the committee welcomed the long overdue Mine Health and Safety Summit that the entity plans to hold in 2022. 3. The committee notes the initiatives undertaken by the council relating to women in the sector. Mintech. The committee was concerned that establishing a rare earth industry in South Africa is slow. State diamond trader. The committee noted SDT concerns regarding delays in policy review by government impacting the delays in the amendments to the Diamonds Act. Then the SADPMR. 1. The committee has observed that SADPMR has no VAT included on diamonds imported to South Africa. 2. Moreover, the committee noted the challenge of export levies and service fees that are not built into the precious metals exports and imports, and the impact thereof on local beneficiaries. Then, the Council for Geoscience. The committee was glad that CGS had received additional funding of 500 million rand for its mapping project, starting from the 2023-24 financial year. 2. The committee was impressed by the CGS projects, especially with the fact that the drilling project in the Karoo had been completed. Then, NNR. The committee was concerned about the commitment made by the NNR to build a 58 million rand office space in Cape Town instead of utilizing other government offices. Then, the Rwadi. 1. The committee noted the continued delays in the finalization of the Radioactive Waste Management Fund bill. The delays impact on Rwadi's effectiveness to execute its mandate. 2. Moreover, the committee was concerned about the slow progress of the Rwadi's nuclear installation license application process, aimed at Rwadi's takeover of the management and operation of Falpoots from NECSA. Sanedi. The committee was concerned about the location of Sanedi, stating that its mandate is confused. Then, NECSA. The committee was impressed with NECSA's turnaround strategy, which showed that in the next financial year, the entity will no longer be operating at a loss. Then, the Central Energy Fund Group. The committee noted CEF's group turnaround strategy, but the financial situation still remained dire. 2. The committee noted with concern the slow progress on the merger of the three entities within the group, namely PetroSA, SFF, and IGAS. Then lastly, NERSA. A concern was raised that the regulatory process for the IPPs, especially for those less than 100 megawatt projects, was onerous. 2. It was also noted that the Electricity Regulation Act and electricity pricing policy are outdated. Then, number 6, the recommendations. Having considered the planning documents and budgetary allocations for the 2022/2023 financial year, the committee recommends that the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy should 1. Present the procedure followed with regard to the merger of the two departments. 2. Develop mechanisms and initiatives to clear the licensing backlogs and update the committee on progress made in clearing the backlog. 3. Update the committee on progress made in addressing issues raised by the Fraser Institute regarding South Africa and mining investment prospects. 4. Ensure that the integrated resource plan is reviewed every 2 years as per the legislative requirements. 5. Develop mechanisms with NERSA to ease the regulatory requirements for the IPP projects. 6. Expedite the finalization of the risk mitigation IPPP and other IPP projects. 7. update the committee on all pieces of legislation due for submission to Parliament in the MTEF period. 8. Expedite the amendment of Diamonds Act, Precious Metals Act, and Export Levy Administration Act. 9. Submit and present to the committee the exploration strategy. 10. Consider reviewing the mandate and location of SANEDI. 11. Ensure that the degradation of safety culture at Koeberg Nuclear Power Station is addressed as a matter of urgency. In consultation with the Minister of Finance, ensure that the issue of VAT included on diamonds imported to South Africa is addressed as a matter of urgency. Then it's basically just the conclusion, Chair, and then a report to be considered. That's the end of my story, Chair.
I'm talking to myself again. I'm saying don't take off the presentation until we conclude with it. Is there any matter, honorable members, I don't want us to go too much. Is there any matter that honorable members wants to comment on, except on the observations and recommendations? We will come to observations and then to record, but I want to check with regards to the actual body of the report. Is there anyone who wants to make a comment? Maybe, put it simple, it could be on the basis of fact with regards to the body. Okay, in the absence of hands on that one, Ari, can you go straight to observations? I will come later. I'm not sure whether honorable members want us to go point by point or you want to just speak on the observations. I see the hand of Honorable Mahlaule. Is there any other hand? One, going one. Two, three. Okay, there's no hand. Can I give to honor?
Thank you very much, Chair. Greetings to you, greetings to colleagues and everybody who is in the platform. May I be allowed to switch off my video for easy coverage of network? Thank you. Chair, I want to speak and sponsor additional points that should form part of the recommendations to the department of the minister. One, we have spoken about the need for the department through SAF or Petro SA to look for the purchase of or investors of a new refinery, oil refinery, owing to the shortage of or the crisis of oil in. Sponsor that we ask the minister to consider identifying alternative investors for the new oil refinery. You would remember that there would be a story about Saudi Aramco that we have been waiting for to build a new refinery in Richards Bay. Perhaps it's time that the minister considers to look for alternative investors for a new refinery. That is one. The second point, Chair, it was raised in the observations, and I'm not sure whether it made it to the recommendations that the minister should develop measures to mediate issues timeously between ESCOM, IPP office, and NERSA, which are delaying the signing of contracts for the programs that already are in the system and procured. That's the second point. The third point,
can you just repeat that quickly?
Ensure that there is a development of measures to mediate issues timeously between ESCOM, IPP office, and NERSA that delay the signing of contracts for the programs already procured. The following point, Chair, is that the minister should ensure that the professional service providers must complete their studies within the set time frame to expedite the drafting and implementation of the electrification master plan necessary to address the barriers of electrifying households in sparsely populated rural areas and informal settlement. You would remember, Chair, I think it's the second financial year that the department comes with a story that they could not electrify certain households because they are far apart from each other and they are in mountainous areas, specifically in the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. Maybe it's about time we have a properly executed research study that will inform the finalization or implementation of the electrification master plan. The other point is basically what has always contributed to the findings by the Auditor General every year. We recommend that they must fill the funded vacant posts as well as align the training and development with its mandate to minimize dependence on consultants and service providers. In other words, Chair, we want the department to align the filling of vacancies and ensuring the capacity, internal capacity, so as to minimize the use of consultants on virtually everything that should find expression within the internal structures of the department. Chair, the other point is that we want to sponsor that the ministry through the department implement the social contract for mining as a platform to engage respective landowners to address the lack of access to land for exploration. You would remember, Chair, that the Council for Geoscience for the past 2 years came and complained that most private landowners do not make it easy for the Council for Geoscience to do exploration in their land. And you would recall, Chair, that the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa guarantees ownership of land to private ownership, but does not guarantee the minerals beneath the soil. It actually says all minerals that are beneath the soil shall belong to the state. And therefore, Chair, there should be easy access to explore those in this private land. Chair, the other point I want to sponsor is that, and I've seen a point that there must be consultation with the Minister of Finance to ensure the VAT is included on the diamond imported to South Africa. But in those discussions, Chair, with the National Treasury, we are sponsoring that there must be increase in South Africa's budget share in geoscience to diversify supply of minerals in support of the mining and the energy industry. Chair, the last point we want to sponsor, I think it's sponsored above, about the social labor plans. I'm not sure whether it made its way there, but I would submit that the ministry should monitor social and labor plans to ensure that they address the challenges directly affecting the mining communities, particularly the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, as well as inclusivity. I thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Makaule. I'm trying to check. There seems to be no one. I don't think there's on your submission. I don't think that there's something bad if the members are comfortable. Ari, can you go back to the observation? There's something that I think we need to correct in English. First one. I don't think the issue, I think, again, as normal, it doesn't fall under of community. Not of the Department of Mineral Resources.
We can't hear you properly.
Can you go up on the page above 5.1?
I don't know if it's only me, Chair, but I'm struggling to hear you.
Same here, Ari. I'm struggling to hear.
Can you look below above 5.1? I'm saying, can you go?
Can't hear you, Chair.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Chair.
I went out. I don't know why. I was just saying.
Chair,
yes, ma'am.
Can we maybe suggest that you switch off your video for better connectivity? You are very bad. We are not hearing you.
Oh, okay. I initially switched it off, but it's fine. Now I'm just saying, I'm not sure that bullet point 1 on 5.1, whether it is supposed to be there or it should be prior that sentence. You say just after 5.
Your sound is very poor, Chair.
That bullet, and you put the matters in relation. Take out that, in my view. Let me.
Something like that, Chair, or underneath this one?
Announced. Yes. Should we say acknowledge or noted with concern? I would say noted with concern. And then I'm saying that part which is now above must be below what you have put in there. That one, that the portfolio committee, what must be below that. Number 2, I think where it says the portfolio committee was concerned by the fact that the budget for administration program had increased instead of decreasing post the merger process. I think we must say the committee noted with concern or observed with concern the fact that budget for the administration program has increased as opposed to decrease post the merger of the 2 departments. Although the department explained that part of the increase was due. So that it becomes one. It doesn't sound like that issue was never considered of what the department had said. Then I think there's something that says it was not only about the backlog, it was also about the delays in the licensing, backlog and delays or weaknesses. I don't know, but there's been a concern that about the licensing process. And I will explain why, because the department on what it has said, that's what made the committee to be concerned that it's almost more than 4 years to 5 years now. The department saying is working on a new cadastral system. So I think we must include the delays there. With regards to and then we can say we welcome we must say that bullet that the committee welcome it should say the committee noted the positive reports with regards the gazetting of the exploration strategy for public comment. Because we are making observations. So when we say we welcome, it means we admire. I think we must say the committee noted the positive reports about the gazetting, something to that effect of the exploration strategy for public comment. Because that becomes a positive. Now, if the committee was concerned about the annual performance, from time to time, I get kicked out. You got Are
You are talking in slow motion, Chair. I don't know whether it's Friday afternoon or what, Chair, but the sound is very poor.
Chairperson, can you please find a better spot? We're really battling to hear you. We are really battling, and I think even the people, our scribes will scribe the wrong things that you did. Boss, Miss Boss,
Yes, Mama Linga.
can you call the chair? Wherever he is at, the network is bad. And he's talking in slow motion as Mr. Kotse is saying. So you the wrong things here. Can you find a better spot so that we can hear what he's saying?
Yeah, you went out.
no, don't. Honorable members.
Much better, Chair.
It's much
No.
better.
What I will do, in the meantime, I will try come back to, because I don't know, it now shows B on the screen that participants are 0. I wanted to reflect on the, instead of going through the phone, to reflect, let me leave this one, and then come back afresh.
But you sound much better, Chair, than before now. We can hear you.
It's because I'm using the phone, not the. That's why. But I still want to screen. Let's continue working in the meantime. So I'm saying on that bullet point, my view is that we need to. We must also combine as one sentence instead of separate sentences. So, like after bit video 5, it should then say, in as much as, or although, or whatever we can use, so that it sounds like, yeah,
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
I don't know whether now it's not going to make noise on your side. I'll try to lower the volume.
Yabo lento yakho yokuya ezilalini ngelanga le-portfolio yiyo le.
Hayi bo, ungathe kude uthi kusezilalini.
Honorable Malinga, order.
You see, I am at Goodwood, but the chairperson's network keeps on kicking him out. That means he's not in Goodwood. Ayanda, please assist the chair.
How can I assist Mama Linga?
Can we go to
Staff members, can I propose that you use your
Let's go, Ari.
chairperson?
Yes.
Can I
Yes.
propose that you use your phone rather than the iPad? Because we can hear you clearly when you are on the phone.
My problem is that the phone wants me to stretch my eyes, but it's fine. Let me stretch my eyes. Let me just get out of this. Let me stretch I'll try and stretch my eyes on the phone. Let's go the other bullet, Ari, where yeah, I think we must just find a way, Ari, where there's been answers of combining the concerns of the, let me put it as simple as that. So that it's not like the department would have said it, but people where the committee would have raised a different matter. So where it says the committee has raised a certain matter of concern, then and the department would have responded. We should just find a way to combine those into one, because the committee would have raised that despite the answer from the department, because you can't have an observation if you are satisfied with the answer given, or if that answer became relevant. So I'm just saying, let's just find a way. Either we use to the word that although or in as much that the department gave the answer, so that it's able to be carried through. Let's go to the, I'm trying to check. Let's go up here. I think let's go to Man Health and Safety Council. There is one part here that we have raised. I don't know whether I'm going to say it's a non-disclosure. The issue of which is what we have been by observation. I don't want to say in their reports, that's what we raised as concern. There was no reflection of the number of inspectors, qualification, and their field of specialization. And as per region or per regional office. I think that's one thing that it has been raised as a concern, so that it can be seen, for instance, whether you might be having too many inspectors as far as issues like seismic events and so forth detecting, or you may have more inspectors as far as environmental compliance is concerned. I think that category of skills, the skills that they possess and fields of specialization and their location in terms of the regional offices. I think that was one part. On MinTech, I think it will be similar. If one is not mistaken, we raised it cut across the issue of internal marketing and commercialization. I think that's one of the issues that we raised. And then SDT, I'm not sure, I don't remember. Then I'm not sure whether what we raise here is not what Honorable Mashaule has raised in terms of the assisting or the absence of a clear strategy to deal with what we call identification of strategic minerals. I think that is one issue that we had. I'm not sure, Honorable Mashaule, whether were they saying, I thought they were saying what, I'm not sure what is imported or exported in terms of particular commodities, especially diamond. They should not be, I thought they were saying they should not be included in terms of the VAT as a tax. I'm not sure, I still have to go and check that statement. Whether we're saying there should be no VAT on what is originally South African export or import on diamonds in particular. But let's go to the other ones. I think those ones are fine. Now let's go to recommendations. You see, the problem, let's say one, the recommendations, I don't know how we'll go back, Ari, because in your observations, you managed to separate, what you call it, the entities. But when it comes to recommendations, it became problematic. But what I remember very well is that we had requested I don't know where to requested
Your network again.
that they are on the next network. I'm foot.
Yes, Chair.
Yeah.
I can hear you now. You can continue now.
I'll go next to Malinga's house. No, I'm saying, honorable members, we raised an issue based on what the department was saying on the cost, because it was almost a contradiction, a different one to what NNR, if I'm not mistaken, had presented, that they've paid, and now they are on their last installment on what they are owing. To say that the department, can they submit the number and location of their offices? and those that they are paying rental, and whether how they have managed the merger between the two departments. I think that was informed by the fact that whether you still, in most of the regions, you still have a separate building for energy and a separate building for mineral resources as it was before. 1, 2, the issue of the staffing, whether you will still remain with one regional office for energy, regional manager, in the same way they were before. So I think that is the issue, so that the issue of the rental, as they suggested, can be able to be clarified and be motivated in a better prescribed manner. So I think the department understands that if we were to get how many, I think that's what we said, how many offices do they have, where are they, which ones are for rental outside public works, and why, and what are the cost differences in those offices. I think that's the point that we say, because we are dealing with a budget. We must know where there is more cost and where there is less. On the licensing regime, I don't know where. We said we are giving them a month to explore or provide information to the committee.
That information is contained in the minutes.
Yes, but we are making recommendations.
Oh.
We are making recommendations. If it is contained on the minutes, you are not saying then that's what you expect. Remember, you are making recommendations that you would want them to find expression through the normal processes of the National Assembly. So if it's not in the report, it actually means it's your own thing. So that report is still necessary of knowing how many people, staff are employed in each regional office, at what levels, how do they relate, or how much do they relate to a licensing process. Thirdly, what is the average per day that it takes, how many, or per average, how many applications do they process per day, and what are the level, the steps that needs to be followed to conclusion. Then there was an issue also, if our memory serves me well, was that in the cadastral system on the backlogs, there was an issue about the outstanding report on Mpumalanga, Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga, Limpopo, and Northwest. That we said it also has to be provided. Lastly, I think on this was the issue of the department to present to the committee the exploration, what is it? Exploration, the approved exploration strategy for something. Yeah.
It is number 9.
Oh yeah, okay, now I see. Yes, I think that is the issue. I thought, honorable members, if we agree with that, is there anything that probably we might be missing? Was there, I'm not saying I'm not opposed, was there nothing that we said in terms of our observation with regards to which we said, I think it's also linked, but I don't, if I missed it, my apologies. I think it's linked to what also Honorable Mashalo had said, that with regards to the challenges as far as the fuel prices is concerned, by observation, but I think the point that you was raising with regards expediting the issue of the refinery, it was also linked to the fuel crisis that or challenges that we are faced with. I'm not sure, I don't remember us seeing that with regards to the observation as one of the high priority matters in the annual performance APPs. But I don't know if I make a mistake. That's fine. My apologies. Is there any other matter that honourable members wants to raise? One, two, three, four,
Chair.
5,
Chair.
6. Yeah, Maling.
I'm not sure on the issue of the SLPs, Chair. Did we cover that part, Chair? Because most of the issues that, especially in mining towns, are do we have something there in terms of SLP? Your
No.
social,
Not
your
on
social,
the observations, ma'am.
been on the recommendations we don't have.
On the recommendation now, yes, with what Mr. Mahlaule recommended, but in the observations, there's nothing. But I'm sure we can do something with regard as to that within the observations. Yeah.
Yes, you can recommend something that you have
Yes.
to observe. That
Correct.
everyone, people were complaining about social labor plans of these mining companies.
Yeah, most definitely. So as you say, so even the recommendations that Mr. Mahlaule made, if they are not captured in the observations, we'll include something on that in the observations.
No, I think what. Are you done, Honourable Malik?
Yes, Chair.
Now, I think there was something that said in the report, or when members were engaging, that there was no clarity on the monitoring mechanism as far as the SNP program is concerned. I think that there was, we can, maybe it's an oversight, which is why it will then reflect when it comes to the recommendations.
Yeah. No, we'll check
correct.
all of that again, sir.
No, you are correct though. I think that issue, if you go and listen to the record or on your minutes, it will reflect when questions were being filtered that there was a lack of clarity as far as the monitoring mechanisms as far as the SLPs were concerned. Is there any other? We do form a quorum, honourable members, according to my own observations. Is there any other matter on this? My only count 1, 2, 3, 4.
School mailing on the issue of solar water geysers about this that the contractors they bought incomplete sets check. Is there a point where that thing is captured? Because I think that was our observation when we went to oversight, I think SFF, whereby we found out that they were this solar water heated geysers that lacked some items that they had to be procured. Whether monitoring in terms of the department, because I think that is double dipping in terms of the cost from.
I'm not sure, Honourable Malinga, because in most cases we have to deal with what was presented by the department as far as the APPs and the budget proposals are concerned, I'm trying to think what could have been the issue raised with regards to compliance on the solar water geyser process. I will be very careful so that, because what we must make an observation, you can advise me if I'm wrong, what you need to do is to make an observation on what will be reflected on the records of the meeting. If you can help me, Arpat.
Yes, Chair. What I'm trying to check if they want they are able
I think okay. I think there was a concern, let me put it like that, there was a concern on the lack of clarity in the APPs with regard the issue of the solar water heater project. I think with regards to that, that it did not form, and I'm not sure, I think Honorable Mahlawule had included, if I'm wrong, I've accept my apology. I think he had included it on the recommendations, which includes then maybe we should add what you say on the recommendation, which it must include a proper monitoring and consequent management mechanisms. I think that's what we could put on the recommendation. Are you comfortable with that, Honorable Maleng?
Yes, Chair, that's correct.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do form a quorum anyway. Yeah, now. Is there any mover then of the report with the amendments made?
I move for the adoption, Chair, report with the amendments.
Any seconder?
And I second Chairperson.
Honorable Bolmarans is seconding. On that note, we will deal with the adoption of the report and when we reconvene. It will, honorable members, it will only be a reflection as to whether it reflects the proposed amendment and corrections. That's all. It's not. It won't be a reinvention of a debate, because we use this platform, and then from an administrative point of view, we expect then we to go and be cleaned and reflect what is written here, and then we will adopt it next week. Can we go to the next report, Ari? Hey, this is bulky.
Sibu will be presenting this one, Chair. Yes, we prepared a presentation, a document, Chair.
How long it will take?
Sibu?
10 minutes or 20 minutes? Let's say 20 minutes max.
Let's try and apply our patience into it. At least we try to give, honorable members, that was the reason we had to postpone our meeting, because of the bulkiness. At least I think, according to our standards in Parliament, we have tried to give as much time as possible. But yes, can you continue, Mr. Mapoda, with a bit of a good, productive, precise summary?
All right. Good afternoon, honorable members. The report that you have before you, members, is got section 1, which is introduction. I'm not going to go through that in the presentation because it talks about the purpose the public hearings, of which members are aware of. And then the next part is statistical analysis that speaks directly to the public hearing. So I'll start with the section that deals with statistical analysis up to the end of the report. Just to also clarify, Chairperson, I thought the reader would be intimidated by the number of pages when you open the report. But the report is not that, it's not bulky. The actual report is up to page, I think 17 or 18. And then the rest of the pages is what we call evidence schedule. So like when we were capturing data there, we had tables per province. So we included that information per province, the tables per province that with the raw data from the people who submitted. So the actual report is less than 20 pages that members are dealing with now, that I will present as well now. These are the table of contents based on the structure of the report. And I'll go straight to slide 4, Ari. Slide number 4. Just to give a bit of introduction in terms of the procedure and process as well in dealing with this report. So we visited the 9 provinces, and then for each province, we developed a provincial report. When we came back from a visit, then you would develop a report for that province. So we have 9 provincial reports individual. But for the purposes of the consolidated report, so we looked at the themes that came up in all the provinces. So we had themes and then captured all issues that came out in the provinces under that particular theme. So that's how we consolidated the report. And then what the committee should also note is the proposals that came from the speakers during the public hearings. And also of importance is for the committee to consider and deliberate on the underlying reasons given for the issues raised, the need to respond to these will be responded to by relevant government development. Some of the points here that we're trying to raise is that some of the issues that are raised or the recommendations raised recommended by the speakers will be responded to by the department at some instances guided by the parliamentary legal advisor. Because, for example, you don't know how to include legally methane gas into the actual bill, so will be guided by the department as well as the parliamentary legal services. Slide 5, Ari. Slide 5, which is statistical analysis in your report, members, that you received. Here, the point was just to indicate the number of provinces that we went to and the total number of attendees. There were about 2,846 people who attended the provincial hearings. Of the 2,846, 303 made oral submissions. And as you can see in the graph, the highest attendees were in Limpopo, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. And then in terms of people who spoke, who did oral submissions, the highest is Eastern Cape, Western Cape, Limpopo, and Northern Cape. Can you move, Ari? And then continuing with statistical analysis, in the capturing sheet that we had a column that said whether the speaker agrees or yes or no support or not support the bill. So these were the results. 20% support. They said yes, they support the bill. 9% reject, and 71% did not indicate. What I must emphasize here or clarify to members is that there are limitations in this. As you'd remember, the chairperson or the facilitator of the meeting of the public hearings tried by all means to urge the speakers before they submit before they comment, they first indicate whether they support or not support the bill. So in most instances, some did not indicate, but when they responded, when you capture their response, the response would be positive. One would assume that yes, they are supporting the bill. But if they did not indicate to say yes, we cannot assume that the person, because the response is positive, therefore we must say yes. So hence we have a high number of people who did not indicate. So we are raising it as a weakness that from our side as well, that going forward maybe it's something that needs to be we need to improve on. So the conclusion here would be that these figures are not reliable. So that's the point we're trying to raise here, something that we need to improve on as well in terms of data capturing. Can you move on, Ari? And then this is a summary of the issues that were raised across the 9 provinces. As I've indicated, we came up with themes, and then we highlighted comments for all the provinces under a particular theme. So we had definitions. There was this submission that there needs to be the speakers were of the view that these types of gases that I've highlighted above in bold are supposed to be explained or defined in the bill. Then the department and the legal services would assist the committee in terms of how this can be done when the committee deliberates on the bill. Next, Ari. And then another definition that the participants felt it needed to be included, it's the meaningful consultation. They suggested that we must incorporate the definition that it should be incorporated in the gas legislation framework, the definition of meaningful consultation. Another one was the definition of environmental responsible and environmental sustainability. They argued that these were not included in the definition. So how practically this is, then it would be discussed during the deliberation process, how these can be incorporated if the committee feels it's important that these definitions are included in the definitions of the bill. Next, Ari. And then across provinces, in terms of compliance and licensing, the section on licensing in the bill, the speakers proposed that the penalty of 2 billion must be on a sliding scale. They felt that for small companies, particularly SMEs and black-owned or black-controlled companies would not afford the 2 million. In fact, it would prevent entry for them into the industry. So it should apply. It should be on a sliding scale. The bigger companies that are well established, they should be paying the 2 million, and then the rest should be on a sliding scale. And then most of the participants were opposed to the 25-year period that was proposed, that the license period it was proposed that the license period should rather be reviewed to 5 or 10 years, not 25 years. Next, Ari. And then on the gas master plan that is proposed that is in the bill, there was an appeal from the members of the public that the master plan must be fair, inclusive, and implementable. Therefore, it should go on a broad public consultation process. And also there was a proposal that reference to key documents that deals with the documents such as the National Environmental Management Act, issues of the climate change global commitments that country has, the RP, and other documents that are important in terms of the gas master plan. They should be included in the bill. The reference should be made to them in the bill. Can you move on, Ari? And then there were lots of comments as well on the powers of the minister and NERSA. Most speakers rejected the powers given to the minister in the bill. They were of the view that the executive, they rejected the powers given to the minister. They argued that what the bill should focus on is empowering NERSA and involve the public in the decision-making process. And then they submitted that the responsibility with regards to gas determination on Section 28B of the bill must be assigned to the energy regulator and relevant government departments as opposed to an individual, the minister, as currently proposed. So the majority, as members would recall, the powers given to the minister were opposed by the majority. Move on, Ali. And then, yeah, this is still regarding powers to the minister. You can skip this one out because it speaks to the same point, rejection of the powers given to the minister. And then on the BE considerations, there were lots of comments as well on this. There was a proposal that the implementation and monitoring of the BBE provision in the bill should be strengthened and the BEE requirements be specified. And then there was a proposal that there should be more detail in the bill and strict monitoring, checks and balances of the implementation of the Black economic empowerment as it relates to the gas sector. It was also recommended that through the bill or other platforms, the DMRA should find ways to create a gas industry transformation council that will play an oversight role to drive and speed transformation in the sector in collaboration with a number of departments as well that are vested with the powers to deal with the Black economic empowerment. And then the last point was that there should be more, the bill should be more specific on the percentage of local committee involvement in BEE, and that there need to be an actual percentage stated in the legislation. It was felt that the BBE only benefits individuals operating at a national level. There is a greater need to see local committee participation in SMME's inclusion in the bill. So basically here, people are in support of the provision of the BBE in the Act, in the bill. However, they're cautious that sometimes the considerations are not made. Black people are not benefiting. It's just stated in the papers. Can you move on, Ari? Next slide. And then there was an issue of exclusivity that is in the bill. The clause 16 of the bill, which provides for the applicant for a license to construct a distribution facility within a particular geographic area or sell gas in particular geographic area, to request the energy regulator to grant it the exclusive right to the license within the geographic area for a specific range of gas and for specific periods. So this is clause 22A of the bill. So participants submitted that the clause is problematic. They argued that it is anti-competitive and will exclude new entrants to compete in the geographic area. They argued that the industry is already closed and exclusive. Next slide, Ari. And then the issue of land exploration, expropriation, that is section 41P of the bill. There was a submission that the role of traditional leaders is not clear in the bill. So it was proposed that this aspect of the bill should be reviewed. So the role of traditional leaders should be visible in the bill. Next, Ari. And then the majority of the speakers who rejected the bill, they rejected it on the basis of the socio-economic and environmental impact considerations. So it was proposed that the bill should should be explicit and elevates the importance of safety, efficiency, economy, and environment through the replacement of the word promote that is in the bill to use the word ensure, so that to elevate the importance of the environment. It was also proposed that before operational licenses are issued, companies must clearly outline disaster management regulations for surrounding communities in the events of gas leak or other unforeseeable disasters emanating from the company's activities. Okay, next slide, Ali. And then there was a proposal that methane harvesting should also be considered in the bill. I think it was raised mainly in I'm not sure, I think in KZN, the importance of methane harvesting and the inclusion thereof in the bill. Next slide, Ali. And then there was a proposal that a sovereign wealth fund should be established within 5 years of the bill's implementation, whereby no less than 20% of the profits made by public institutions in the gas industry are invested and used for service delivery and development purposes. Next, Ari. And then there was a whole issue around public education, the need to educate the public on gas, as the gas promotes entry of historically disadvantaged South Africans into the gas industry. There were general comments that people do not know a lot about the sector, so there needs to be education as well. And in collaboration with other institutions, academic institutions, and colleges, to ensure that people are educated about the gas sector generally, as well as how one enter into the industry. You can move on, Ali. And then there were a lot of issues that were outside the ambit of the bill. So it's captured in the report in detail, the issues that people spoke about that were not that did not speak to the bill. So there were mining issues in areas where we went to mining areas. People talking about the social and labor plans that are not implemented, and fearing that the gas sector may have the same impact. And then we had the Seine and Khoi community with the issues of land and the ocean that is being taken away from them, impacting on cultural heritage. Then there were issues of poverty and unemployment that is captured. These are captured in the report, but I'm just highlighting them here. Next slide, Ari. And then in terms of conclusion in general observations, in some provinces, mobilization and education on the bill was poorly done, as it became apparent that in the oral submission, submissions, some speakers would even state that they did not know what the bill was about and why they were invited. The lack of understanding of what the bill was about led to speakers addressing the committee about their socioeconomic issues, not the bill. Linked to the above, whilst the attendance was relatively good, there were few people who spoke on the bill. This could be attributed to a number of things, amongst others. Firstly is poor mobilization and education, as stated above. Secondly, in some venues, committee members arrived late at the venue or over-mobilization was done. Some people were not able to enter the venue as a result. There were fears from the speakers that, same as in the mining sector, companies in the gas sector would not take their social corporate responsibilities seriously. The role of NERSA in this regard, in collaboration with relevant departments, was seen as crucial in ensuring enforcement in this regard. The impact of gas production in coastal areas, particularly in the fishing community and the Karoo region, was highlighted as a concern. Next slide, Ara. Next, Ari. And then another observation is that whilst the promotion of black economic and broad-based black economic empowerment was welcomed by the speakers, The lack of details on the implementation thereof was raised as a concern. From their experience, often BE has been reduced to fronting. That's the point I've raised before. There was a strong opposition on powers conferred to the minister in the bill, the issue of land expropriation and non-reference to the traditional leaders. There was a concern which emerged in most provinces that the DMRA should have consulted the public prior the parliamentary process. It was apparent from the public hearings that besides the internal parliamentary issues on public education, the public was hearing about the bill for the first time. Therefore, the extent to which the department had consulted the public is seemingly questionable. Perhaps it is because the department had consulted on the bill with the public 8 years ago. As members would remember, the gas bill, it's been long in the process. So public consultation process were done. I'm not sure then when it revived it, they restarted the public consultation process. But it's just an observation that it could be that they were consulted a long time ago or they were not consulted. Next, Ari. Thank you very much, members. I think that was the end. That was the last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mapoda. Honorable members, are there any take on the report by the staff led by Mr. Mapoda? I see the hand of Honorable Volmarans. I see the hand of Honorable Malinga. I see the hand of Honorable Mahlaule. No other hand. Yes, let me give it to you, Honorable Volmarans, and then Honorable Malinga, and then Honorable Mahlaule.
Thank you, Chair. I think let me also just welcome this type of report and the consolidated one in its draft form. It captures, Chair, most, if not all, of the stuff that we went through when we were doing the hearings. I have a question, but I also answered it in part. But I think it would be good for maybe just mentioning it. At the beginning, where we discussed, or where the report said, here we have people who participated. They did not necessarily say yes or no to the bill, but through their interaction with us or with the discussion that they had, they were positive or they were in line. It's like saying yes without saying yes. That's actually what comes out of it. And then when you come to the observation, we mentioned the part that due to the reasons why there was not a lot of people discussing the bill, either by way of how we mobilized and or people were not well conversant with the bill. I find it just, although it is the truth, but I find it a little bit contradictory because if most of the people did not say yes, we believe and we agree with the bill, but in their submission, they were not opposing it. Can't that be considered as being positive towards the bill, firstly? But secondly, although it's an observation, how do we frame it in such a manner that it is not viewed as negative to the process that we have embarked upon, Chairperson? So that is my issue. The rest of the other issues, Chair, I'm in a position to can live with because that is what we saw but just that small contradiction, but which is practical and it is real. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me also welcome the presentation by Mr. Mabota and say, I think the report captures what we have seen in all the provinces that we went to. Chair, except for one observation that I think that should find some space in what we've seen of the, who are these people, your Makua, who were trying to disrupt us, though they were raising issues that were not concerning the gas amendment bill. But the fact that they had everywhere we go, they were there and made sure that they participate in a form of disrupting our meetings, Chair. I'm not sure whether we should also filter that into the report, but the report is precise, Chair, as to what happened in the provinces that we visited. And Chair, we're not saying much about the failure of the parliamentary mobilization, because parliamentary mobilization won't mobilize in a municipality without ward councillors. Maybe we should try and insert something as to that effect, that the corporate governance part of it, whereby ward councillors are, because people belong to the constituencies that we went to belong to ward councillors. The roping in of your provincial legislature speaker and local speakers, because they have public participation in their offices. They are the champions of public participation. And the fact that maybe the content advisor, Chair, or the researchers of Parliament should be part and parcel of the people who are going to mobilize or educate the people who will be coming, because most of the people, if you remember, in many provinces, they said they came and the people who were presenting or informing them about the bill could not give them answers. They said the portfolio committee will come. Mr. Philip, I think I remember that name. They said Mr. Philip said that the committee will explain it further. So I think the secretariat, in a form of committee secretaries, the content advisor, parliamentary researchers, must also make the team that goes before in preparing for the portfolio committee when it consults on the bill, because they have more clue on what the bill talks to. Thank you very much, Chair.
Chair, is it me or Volmarans who must come?
Volley is done, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Chairperson. And let me welcome the report by Mr. Mabota and his team. A well-written report. However, I have two, if not three, issues that I want to raise that appear in the body very strong to have been recommended by all and sundry in the what do you call this, where we were collecting information. It's reflected clearly on what should happen. But when you go to the recommendations, only 3 points that are really speaking to the department and not making bold propositions on what should be done for us to move forward. And I must put a rider there that I have seen reports and I think I have a clue of how they are written. But this one is a special report that I may be wrong in how it must be written. Let me give you an example, Chair. You go to 3.10, and the heading is Establishment of a Sovereign Fund. It says it was proposed that the bill must compel the state to establish a wealth fund within 5 years of the bill's implementation, whereby no less than 20% of the profits made by the public institutions in the gas industry are invested and used for service delivery and development purposes. This proportion should be reviewed every 10 years, and the base minimum should not be below 20% of profit. Now, this is a direct, if you like, deposit from what people were saying, but it doesn't go and say what must happen when we're making recommendations. That's just but one example. The second one is that there was a serious talk about the 2 million rands as a minimum punishment, and or the scaling it differently dependent on the power each and every company has. It's detailed in the body that people have said so and so, and many have said. But again, you go to the recommendations. It's not there. It doesn't come out aggressively as people were in the areas we went to. You would find people have spoken about expropriation of land without compensation for the purposes of getting this gas out of somebody who has land beneath the soil in these farms. So I'm just saying the report itself, and I stand corrected, shouldn't it come to us with propositions and recommendations that we are going to jostle around as different political parties based on the observation that we experienced, and ultimately agree that this should be in, this should not be in. And then we'll go to the department and say, what is your understanding of these things? What did you find when you were dealing with these issues? And so the recommendations that are saying the department must explain how it arrived, in my view, it should encapsulate bold recommendations that this committee should be jostling around first before it takes to the department to say, let's include this kind of recommendations to the bill. Because this well-written document, in my view, does not have recommendations unless the body part points will be taken as decisions or what should happen. Then I'm fine with it. But I think it should be detailed in recommendations. I will be corrected if these kind of reports do not take the shape that I understand other reports to be written. And it may very well be that it differs because the nature of the report is a very different one. Thank you very much.
Ari, you want to I'm also worried as Honorable Mahlaule is speaking, I'm now thinking. But do you want to respond on the nature of the? I see the hand of Mr. Maboda, but I'm just thinking, sitting here, do we take a stance or a position now, or do we look at the report and having looked at the report and confirmed that the report is a true reflection of what had transpired? Aren't we supposed to express our stance on the bill informed by what is contained, of which we agree that is a report is a true reflection, not just minutes. The report is a true reflection, and therefore we will utilize, like the point that Honorable Mahlaule is raising. Can we, for an example, say we recommend in the recommendation and be specific on the recommendation that, what can I call it? Can we specific and say we, as recommendations, the issue of the 2 million rands minimum punishment per day must be done on a scale, in a scaled manner, and so forth, maybe taking into consideration the fact that there are new entries and some can't even make that 2 million in a month. I'm just saying, can we make bold recommendations when we're still going to go to the bill? I just want to when you answer, help us on that, so that we can have an understanding on the matters that are being raised by honorable members. Let me leave it. For me,
Your sound again,
not have captured them properly, linked to what members were raised as concern. Can we hear from you and yourselves? Can you please give clarity on these issues that I've raised?
Chair.
And members are raising?
Chair.
Yes.
Everything that you have raised were only heard by yourself. Nobody heard what you were saying because your network went just dead. So everything that you have said, you should repeat that, because even Maboda, I doubt that you will know what to say from what you have said.
Okay. Let me know what I was saying. Maybe they can help and guide the committee. One, whether when we still have got to take a stance in the deliberations on the bill, whether we need to have especially recommendations, or we just need to have the discussions per se. That the report be proposed as amended as a true reflection of what had transpired, and then deal with the recommendation as and when we are dealing with the with the contents of the bill. I just need to say that maybe they can give clarity, especially informed by what you are raising. So I made an example. Can we, for an example, say, amongst other things, the department must consider more of a sliding scale up to a minimum of 2 million rands for non-compliance. Can you put that as a bold recommendation here? But on the other side, there could be. Hello.
Hi, Chair. I think I got the gist of what you were saying, but not all of it. But I think it's centered around the issue that Honorable Mahlaule was talking about, the nature of the report and whether it's the same as the other reports. My response to that, and also to say that it's also the first time dealing with this kind of a report, legislative public hearings. But my understanding, my understanding is that it's a recommendation. The body of the report is a recommendation from the people who submitted, and then at the end you would have general observations as a committee. But because we're still going to deliberate on the bill, in the introduction I said we'll be guided by the Parliamentary Legal Service. We'll have a legal advisor in our committee meetings. So my understanding is that the recommendations that are in the body of the report, the committee would have the document when we deliberate on the bill. So it will go clause by clause. So there will be a clause that deals with the license issue, for example. And then the committee would go to the submission to this report, for example, and look at what people had said regarding the 2 million penalty, and then recommend and debate and decide on and conclude on that. And then there will be a department there. There would be the legal advisory services guiding the committee on how to incorporate these recommendations from the public into the bill. So that's my understanding of it. But Ariko and I can also assist in terms of the process. But I think the submissions and all the submissions, including the public hearings that we had, the virtual ones, the documents that were submitted, the committee would have those in front of them during the deliberation process. When we deal with clause 1 that deal with definitions, then we would look, okay, what did that organization say on the definitions, and then you'll deliberate on that, comparing the submissions from people and then proposed based on that. So I think this kind of report is different from the other reports because we are dealing with recommendations from the submissions from the people. Then you can make your recommendations during the deliberation phase. Yeah, that's my understanding. Ariko, you can add.
Yes, Chair. No, she was correct, Chair. This is a different type of report. Remember, the purpose of this report is, as I call it, for lack of a better word, will be used as a reference for the committee. As Sivu says, when the committee deal with the bill during the deliberation stages, it's clause by clause. So even if you the plan is also to have the response from the department on the written submissions, not these ones, but the written submissions, the written and oral submissions, which was submitted last year to the committee. So the plan is to have them respond to those by next week, Friday. So these will be used as reference points of reference for the committee when deliberating on the bill, Chair. So as it says, so if you take the different recommendations or proposals by the various entities, so members can refer to that So if one clause says the minister should ensure, and one of the recommendations is that it should actually be the minister must. So then the department and SU said the department must respond and say, yes, we can say must and not should. The parliamentary legal officer must concur or differ, and then they must just agree to that. But as I say, the main purpose is a reference for the committee when deliberating on the bill, Chair. So that's my 5 cents worth, Chair.
So what do we do?
I'm not sure if Chair, you're still asking from our side, but the proposal that you made, the proposal that you made initially, that you adopt the report as a true reflection of what transpired during the public hearing process. I think that should be enough. That should cover the process, and then you'd have the adopted provincial report that will then have it as an official reference when you deliberate on the bills. I mean on the bill. Thank you, Chair.
Correct, Chair. So we can adopt the report, Chair. As I say, this is an internal report. This report won't go to the House for consideration and adoption. As I say, this is for the committee's purposes, Chair. So
can we take note and what Honorable Mashaula was saying, that probably this is not a normal report. It's a different type of a report because it deals with the legislation. And therefore, because we still have got time of the legislation, we only have to check that the report, like Honorable Malinga was giving, for instance, that it captures all that which is relevant as per the proceedings. And then maybe we agree that it doesn't necessarily need to have observations and recommendations. But my difficulty then is on other matters that may not necessarily talk to the bill. I think when it comes to observations, I think we must make that observations on the basis of the proceedings, not necessarily the substantive matters. I think that's the point that Honorable Mashalo was talking about. If then we were to go to the substantive issues, it then becomes a different type of an animal, the report itself. Am I correct, Honorable Mashaule, or to all honorable members?
Yes.
Okay. I think there's nothing wrong for the committee to say on the substantive matters, the committee on this report, on the substantive matters, the committee will deal with those as it deals with the bill, with the processes of the bill. But I think at some point, even if it's for internal consumption, we need to raise the issues that, for example, what Honorable Malinga was saying, or we leave them there as observations. The issues that relate to mobilization, the issues that relate to, but those I think in the main, they don't talk, because we're not talking to the department, we're not talking to the bill itself. It's issues that impact on public participation. I think we must be able to flag those and say we must find a way when we deal with public hearings on how do we reinforce that way. Can we leave it with those issues at that level? And then if possible, let me look. Yeah, is there any move of the report as a true, not minutes, the report as a reflection of the work undertaken by the committee as far as public consultation is concerned?
Chair.
Honorable Volmaran?
Yes, I do move for us to accept that it's a reflection of what we have come across. So I do move for us to accept that, Chair.
Okay. Is there any seconder?
I second, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members. On that note, there's nothing else, Ari, isn't it?
Just quickly to update, Chair, on next week's meetings. I see we got
No, I'm coming to that. I'm talking on this.
Oh, no, nothing, Chair.
And on the agenda, nothing. Honorable
Chair.
members, there could be a technical challenge on our meetings next week, but those meetings are almost compulsory. We have sent the application at the time of preparing for the program and everything. We had not received the new amended program of Parliament. Now we will note then that the mini plenaries have been confirmed, and to some degree our mini plenaries are clashing with our committee meeting, especially on Tuesday and Friday. Now, we have not received a response from the House Chair's office.
We have received in the meanwhile, Chair. Sorry, Chair. We have received a response in the meanwhile.
What does it say?
It says for Tuesday, it's fine, we can meet. However, for Friday, the Chief recommends that we meet at 1 o'clock after the plenary, Chair.
Like we did today.
Yes, Chair. So Tuesday is fine. Tuesday we can meet during the plenary, but Friday she requests that we meet at 1 o'clock.
Okay, matter sorted. Was we're gonna request members that we start much earlier than because in fact we might even consider that.
For which one? For Friday, Chair?
For even Tuesday.
Oh.
Remember, even on our side, we've got members who belong to, remember, many plenaries, other members, they participate. The plenaries start at 10.
That's correct, Chair. And ends at 12:15.
We'll be committing crime, honorable members, if we move to 8 o'clock, so that we allow other members. If we are not finished, at least we would have covered a lot of ground.
Chair.
Honorable Mashawi.
As you say, we participate in the many plenaries at different levels. I want to plead that the agreed program of the portfolio committee must be circulated to us so that we ask to be excused on other responsibilities if they clash. Otherwise, you will have a meeting where I'm presiding over in another plenary because I did not work on the schedule on time. So if you can please have such things distributed on time. Thank you.
Okay. Now, the program is the one that we adopted. The issue was that, but we can still resend it. The issue was that it now, at that time when we drafted it, we didn't have the mini plenaries included. Now, when they are included, it means even if it's our date and our day of a meeting, we need to get permission to meet because it's clashing with the mini plenaries. But I take what you say. My take was that, for an example, some members with all due respect, I hear this a language that is being used from smaller parties. They participate in all the mini plenaries. If you, especially those we have got 1 or 2 members. For instance, Honorable Zungula, there are only 2. I know that Honorable Chapter can be highly affected. There are only 2. So that's why I was saying, will we be committing a serious crime if we request from honorable members? Even all members, I know there are members who are serving in two or more committees, even if we were to look at that. And if that is the case, it means those members may even have to, they might be debating in some of these committees where they are attached. So I was just requesting, will we be committing a crime if we ask that at least if we had not finished by that 10 o'clock, we would have covered more space. Will it be such a bad and a serious thing to start at 8 o'clock on Tuesday? You want more break?
No, Chair, we're at work, so I don't think it should be a problem.
Okay, honorable members, for the sake of trying to accommodate everyone, the meeting must start at 8. If we have not finished at 10, at least we'll be able to recuse other members.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The meeting stands adjourned.
And Friday,
Yes.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, 1 o'clock Friday. Well, that's an instruction. It was never said it's a choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. The meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Long live the chair.
Recording stopped.